Go, 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 go.
3, 2, 1, 4 tires.
Still there, inside.
What a jump! What a jump!
The track is wet. It's good.
Still there, clear. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ford and Fuel podcast. I am your host, Dom Caplupo, joined by Steve Ray and Wesley Riddle. We're here for a Kaulig Racing 2026 season preview. Starting with their driver lineup, you have the 10 of Dillon, who finished 33rd in the standings in 2025, and the 16 of AJ Allmendinger, who finished 26th in the standings in 2025. In 2025, the team ran 73 races, 4 races down from their 2024 total. They had no wins, 2 top 5s, 8 top 10s, an average finish of 23.2, an average start of 21.3, 1 pole, and 61 laps led. As an organization, the numbers kind of went down almost across the board. So definitely going to be looking to improve on that, which will be tough because their transition to Ram in the Truck Series. Kaulig is no longer an affiliate with Richard Childress Racing and will no longer run on ECR engines this season. Speaking of ECR engines, let's get into AJ Allmendinger in 2025. Ran all 36 races, which he didn't do in 2024. He finished 26th in the standings, as I said. No wins, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, an average finish of 21.36, an average start of 16.8, 1 pole, 8 DNFs, and 42 laps led. The big thing to note here, AJ Allmendinger almost lost 5 spots from where he started to where he finished in 2025. Gotta be able to hang up there. The qualifying speed was there for the 16 team, but it's got to hang up there and finish kind of where he starts. But he had top 5s in the Coke 600 and the Southern 500. So it seems like AJ showed up for the Crown Jewel races last season because those are arguably the 2 toughest races to get a top 5 in. And that Coke 600, we were there. He was a top 5 car all night. Arguably had a outside chance of winning that race.
Yeah, that was a big night for him. And it wasn't, like you said, it was not a fluke thing. He started up front and he was running up front. It seemed like, William Byron had a strong grip on the field that night, but Allmendinger was right there. I thought for sure that he was going to fade, and he just never did. Ended up with a top 5 there, and then backed it up with a top 5 in the Southern 500. I am a bit surprised, though, that those were his only top 5s. Out of all the road courses, he didn't have any top 5s on the road courses. And that's obviously AJ's bread and butter. So I'm scratching my head a little bit about that as to why they weren't able to capitalize on the road course races. And they really weren't. We knew that SVG was going to dominate. He won 5 road courses last year, but I thought for sure it would have been a battle between SVG and AJ, and it just never was. AJ was never really like a dominant factor in any of the road course races last year. So I'm scratching my head a little bit as to why. It's just going to be a struggle. I'll put it lightly. It's going to be a struggle this year, not having any factory support from Chevy, not having ECR engine support. Inevitably, Ram or Dodge is going to want to come back into the Cup Series, and all signs are leading towards Kaulig is going to be that A team for Dodge. So that means that until Dodge is ready to make that jump into Cup, they're just going to have to kind of string along their Cup program. And unfortunately, that means most likely that the results will struggle even more in 2026.
Yeah, looking at the road courses, like you mentioned, he only had 2 top 10s out of the 6 or 7 that they had last year, the Chicago Street Course and the Roval. So it seemed like they took an overall dip just kind of in their road course performance. Even Dillon runs pretty good on the road courses, and it seemed like he was pretty off. So they definitely had an off year when it came to that. But of course, Dom, you mentioned it. They're at the Coke 600 And then just kind of the mile and a half program, it seemed like they improved a good bit. One thing to note, this is AJ Allmendinger's first back-to-back season since 2017 and 2018. He hasn't ran back-to-back years in the Cup Series full time. So it's going to be interesting and a little bit different seeing him have a sophomore season, because his last sophomore season, gosh, I mean, it came back 2014, 2015 with JTG. So nice to have him around for a couple years. I feel like he's definitely an underappreciated guy in the garage, just with his personality and his just demeanor and just what he brings to the sport. He's just a good person, person and a good persona to have. But yeah, I think you both mentioned it with the ECR stepping away. I guess Kaulig's going to have their own in-house engine program that's going to be a little bit different with Chevy this year. And it's either going to be a blessing or a curse. We're not 100% sure yet. You know, it could be uh, a sign for great improvement. Maybe they needed to step away from the Richard Childress camp and take their own direction. But it also may hurt, you know, less resources, kind of less priority when it comes to the overall Chevy camp, just with the likelihood of Ram maybe stepping into the Cup Series one day. We'll never know, but it is likely. So it'll be tough for AJ, I think, to have a much better season than last year, because he did run well at times, but yeah, just a lot of mechanical issues and just an overall dip on the road courses. So hopefully he'll have a better year, but it doesn't look like, just with the circumstances that are laid out, it's going to be a great year.
And with that, I'm going to ask, because when SVG came on to the scene, we thought, man, look, AJ Allmendinger and SVG could be battling for wins, and it just hasn't been like that. Maybe a part of that is Allmendinger maybe just isn't as good as SVG, but I think it's more or less the equipment that both guys are in. I think Trackhouse's program is just ahead of Kaulig's program right now, where we're at. So, will AJ Allmendinger get back and get a top five on a road course in one of the four road course races in 26?
The only way he does that is nails the strategy, um, gets off sequence of other cars. Just doing it off of pure speed, though, I don't see a top five coming out of that camp. It would have to be something strategy based for them to get a top five out of it, but I don't see it on speed.
I'll say yes, but I'll say one. It's going to be just too much of a question mark of a year, and just no real confidence in Kaulig having their own Chevy department to think that they're going to be able to maintain the overall competitiveness on the road courses. Um, could he get a win? Could he get a top five? I mean, yeah, he's AJ Allmendinger. He's super good at super speedways, road courses. I mean, he's got great ability and great talent. He's, I feel like, always been an underrated guy in the garage, but um, it just doesn't seem likely. So I'm going to say one top five on a road course, maybe not any more than that throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I just don't know. With the program either taking a step back again, it's gonna be hard to see Allmendinger running top five. And it seems like a lot of the times when he is running well, something breaks on that car, and then you got the pit crew. Who knows what the deal is with that this season? So, yeah, I'm gonna say no to a top five on a road course this season for Allmendinger.
We'll say he will be the only driver to have a shot at five straight top tens at Homestead in the next gen. So, I mean, he always has shown up at Homestead. That seems like his wheelhouse so far. Kind of has outrun the whole competition there when it, for a, you know, a low funded team. But that's going to take us into his teammate Ty Dillon. Uh, I feel like Ty Dillon was talked about a lot more this year. Phoenix was the big race early on, where strategy almost gave him a shot at the win. I can't remember what happened. I don't. Was it fuel?
Think he got a speeding penalty.
Oh,
It
that
was a
speeding
speeding
penalty.
penalty, but yeah,
Yeah,
he if memory serves me right, had an extra set of the option tires.
Yep.
and
It was a speeding penalty that killed him.
I mean, obviously, it's, you know, you never know in hindsight, but just the way that race could have played out, he might have been the guy to beat. So we'll never know. But Ty, his definitely the highlight for him came with winning the in-season tournament. He was able to make it a second, I guess, runner-up pretty much to Ty Gibbs, his fellow Ty brother. in the final round at Indy, but he advanced through every round, was able to knock off some good guys. And looking at it, I mean, you could say it was a bust, but for him, I feel like it's a huge success because that was only the fourth time he had ever had more than four top 20 finishes in a row. And he's driven for underfunded teams pretty much his entire Cup season tenure. So, Germain Racing, Petty GMS, Spire, those years at Spire, right? Last probably the third wheel. Petty GMS, kind of the back car there. So it was impressive to see him just be able to make it as far as he did in that, even with the circumstances, with the guys crashing out. But um, just those top 20s he was able to roll off was pretty impressive, aside from Indianapolis. So, but yeah, Ty's overall season, no wins, of course, no top fives, and did have one top 10 finish that came in Atlanta, which I think was the opening round for the in-season tournament. He had an average finish of 24.5, which was a little bit worse than 2024 at 23.8. And his average start was 25.9, which was luckily actually an improvement from 32.4 in 2024. He didn't have any poles, but he did have three DNFs, which took a little bit of a hurt, and some of them were pretty unfortunate. And I feel like the big one was the Las Vegas incident. Um, that was it Las Vegas with William
Hmm.
Byron? Yeah, that
Yes.
was, stuff like that's uncalled for. You don't expect that from a guy that's been around for that long to make a mistake like that. But um, yeah, Ty, I feel like the most he can do this year is just to be able to improve upon last. I mean, 33rd in points. It's just a tough field. It's going to be very tough for him to achieve that though, just with how tough the competition is and how I feel like a lot of guys have more upswing and seem to uh, just bring a little bit more raw speed on a week to week basis. Um, I don't know. It just I don't know if Ty should even be here for a second year at Kaulig, but obviously he brings the sponsorship. He's a great business person. He is a great person. He does bring good character, and he's just a very wise guy. And I feel like important to the sport. I feel like he's kind of undervalued with his personality. So he does bring some good personal traits, but the driving traits are just still not there.
Now, I want to ask you, Wes, because when we did the RCR preview, you said Austin Dillon may have gotten too complacent at RCR, and instead of like maybe trying to, you know, branch out to other teams, maybe in race, maybe that would have helped him. Do you think an example like Ty Dillon doing that, like, do you think when you look at Austin's decision, that kind of enforces maybe Austin did the right thing by staying at RCR?
I think so. I feel like I feel like we could have saw Ty have more success if he would have, tried to stick around Xfinity in a top tier team, maybe with Richard Childress. And he did that for a while, but maybe he should have taken the step back after Jermaine just to kind of reestablish himself, like some guys, including Eric Almirola, that took the step back and then they were able to kind of improve upon their career and
Hmm.
obviously kind of flourish later on. So um, yeah, I think I don't know. It's tough to say because I feel like if Ty would have stepped into Richard Childress, which is not really what he wanted to do, he wanted to branch off. I think he could have had a better career. Unlike Austin, where the complacency, kind of bit him, I feel like in the long run. So, it's hard to say, but I do think that I feel like yeah, Ty's just gotten too complacent. I feel like with just finding a ride, and if he could try to pursue a little bit more, just trying to get back into something competitive for a full-time year in Xfinity, I feel like we could still see what he's capable of. I mean, he's only 33. I mean, he's still young, he's still competitive. I feel like we're not really seeing the numbers that he could put up, but it's just driving for the teams kind of in the back marker group or the back marker seat for each team, or kind of limiting him from what we could see.
The coolest moment from 25 for me with Ty Dillon was after Dover when he advanced to the final round of the in-season challenge. I mean, I was walking back to the car after dropping my scanner off, and you see just like these fans waiting at the tunnel, and you see Ty Dillon come out in his golf cart, and everyone just gives him a standing ovation for making it in. So the fans definitely love that, and I think it was just a great run to get Ty Dillon that exposure and get people to really know Ty Dillon a little more, see his personality a little more. So, I don't think there's as many people that are against Ty Dillon nowadays. I mean, no one would be upset if Ty Dillon was to reel off maybe a top 10 or two this season and have a little bit of success. Now, Ty Dillon, top 30. Do we think Ty Dillon will finish top 30 in the standings?
No, I don't think so, unfortunately. If he does, it's only going to be to 30th, but realistically, I think 33rd, right around there. I think we're going to see very similar stats to what we did in 2025. I really don't see any improvement. And unfortunately, with the ECR support being taken back from Kaulig, I just don't see the focus on the current cup team. I think from an outsider's perspective, I see Kaulig putting more of their focus into building the Ram truck program. So I just think that running the cup team is just kind of them, like I said, as a placeholder waiting for Dodge to get into the cup series. So they're not really going to be putting all their focus into the cup program. Therefore, I really don't see the stats improving at all. So I'm going to say no.
If the in-house program, is a success, I just don't see him getting a lot better than maybe like 26, 27, 28th in points, just with how tough the competition is. And it seems like most of his competitors, even where he is in points, you kind of look at it from last year, Ricky Stenhouse, Cole Custer, Noah Gregson, Zane Smith, like those guys can get stage points. They can run in the top 10. I just don't see Ty even being able to run in the top 15. And that's if Kaulig's Chevy engines are going to be superior, like, the best they could be. But I don't think Chevy's going to give them the best parts for that to happen. So, but yeah, it just seems very unlikely. I'm with you, Steve. It just seems like it'll be an off year, and there's a good chance. I don't know. There's a good chance he could finish second to last among the full-time drivers in points. I think he can outdo Cody Ware. I don't think Cody Ware can have a much worse season, but I just, he's going to be back there in the very back.
Yeah, he was 85 points behind Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who finished 30th in the standings, and I just don't see where he's making up 85 points to that top 30 spot. I think I agree with Wes. I think 35th in standings probably out of the 36 chartered teams, because you have to think Noah Gregson's probably gonna have a little bit better of a season, and you got to think, like, I know you guys think I'm being funny here, but I think Riley Herbst will take a somewhat of a step up. So I think he'll have enough points to get by Ty Dillon, at least performance wise, especially with the switch off of ECR for Kaulig Racing. So that is a Kaulig Racing 2026 season preview. We got one more week of previews. So on Monday it'll be front row, and then Wednesday it's going to be Hayek, Haas, and Rick Ware Racing to end our 2026 teams previews for the season. Then we'll have our Daytona 500 preview episode and a full season prediction episode, all packed into the week leading up into the Daytona 500. Exciting. Probably going to see an episode almost every day next week leading into the 500. Our socials are going to be going crazy. Content galore. If you aren't following Ford and Fuel Podcast on any platform, make sure you're going there. YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, leaving comments of what you think about each team in the comments, giving a like there. Going to Spotify, Apple, make sure you're listening on your commute to work or home from work, on your lunch break, anytime you can pop those earbuds in. Just put on the Ford and Fuel Podcast. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you're following on Facebook. We're over 3,000 followers on Facebook right now. We've got the Instagram flowing, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. Ford and Fuel Podcast. Make sure you're following. So for Wes, Steve, I'm Dom, and we'll see you Monday for Front Row Motorsports season preview.